Okay, so on this one we have Rage Over a Lost Penny. This is a very popular, well-known piece from Beethoven. This isn't the full version, but this is kind of an introduction to this piece. What we're going to do is start with your G position. All these are staccato, so these are just like a nice kind of motion. What I would do is just a nice hop, if you can imagine or feel like the beat of like a pulsing or almost like a drum or something. When you're playing these, kind of feel that beat. So we have a cut time. We're going to call these 1, 2, 1, 2. On the next measure, this isn't a 5/7 chord, so we're not going to reach down to that F sharp. We're not going to use our pinky. We're going to stay in that G position. So G, C, E on this one. 1, 2, 1, 2. Back to G. Okay, and then on measure 9, we're going down. This will be like an E minor position. And then also same thing. We're not going to do the 5/7 chord here. This is, we're just staying there with E, A, B. On this one, measure 15, use your 2, 3 here. We're going to hold this G and A, 1, 2, 3, rest, and then we're going to drop down D major. 17, we're going to return back to G position. 1, 2. Rest. So jumping down G, making sure to kind of catch that 1. Okay, so on this one, the right hand, we're going to do a 1 on that B. If you notice the finger, we have a 2, 1 swap. So 1, 2, 1. And that helps us to kind of move up the keyboard, swapping out those fingerings. 1, bum, 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 bum. And that, then we're going to jump up. D, C, D, A. So those are kind of way up in the upper kind of register there. 2 lines we're remembering that's a C. And then once we know that that is a C there, then we can assume that that next note is going to be a D. So anytime that we have notes way up in those upper registers, always know kind of like the 2 lines is going to be that C, and then that kind of 1 line is going to be an A, and then that next note up there is a D. So D, C, D, C, A. And my piano's a little bit off. I'd give that a little bit more of a staccato, but my piano needs to be tuned here. Let's do measure 5. Okay, so on this one, we're going to go to measure 9. This is like an E position. We're following these. This is like your 5-finger scale going down and then coming up. Remember your F sharp. 5, 2, 5. So that's an E. 3 lines is going to be an E. So we just went over 2 lines being a C. That third line, if you can kind of imagine 3 lines being like an E almost. So on measure 10, that note there with 3 lines is E. Going back down, E position. It says to use a 4 on that. On measure 16, use your 4 and reach to D. If your hands aren't big enough, you can swap. So when you use that 4, you can quickly switch to using your pinky and then coming down to that D if that helps a little. That's what I do. Instead of playing that 4-3 combination, I actually use my 3-2 sometimes. And then I swap out that 3 with the 5 to reach that D. Again, if your hands are a little bit smaller or bigger, you may find that certain fingerings may work better for you. I think it's kind of important to make sure that whatever is indicated by the composer with slurs and staccatos and all that stuff, that you're still able to play those. But if you need to use different fingerings, that's totally fine. Let's go to 17. And that's it. So let's try both hands. Going back to the beginning. Okay, and then we're going to shift down. We have that E position. This can be, if your technique sounds a little bit sloppy or kind of like these notes are kind of smashed together, or you don't have a nice kind of clear distinction between each of those individual notes, what I would do is kind of do a little bit of a technical exercise where you're playing back and forth with those seconds, just to kind of build out the muscle strength a little bit more and kind of get a little bit more clarity in those notes. So what I'm doing is kind of just staying in that same position, but also doing B, A, and kind of doing like a trill there. Going to the next one, G, A, going down to G and F sharp. So these are all just little trills between those fingerings to help kind of develop those out a little bit. And wherever you may feel in your hands, if there's kind of a weakness or you feel like you need to develop that, to kind of just focus in that area. So I'm feeling a little bit of weakness in between the 3 and 4. That's a common area to kind of, develop. There's a 3 and 4 are kind of like the weak fingers there. So if you wanted to kind of practice those trills, you can go, like that, go back and forth. Or you can take 3 notes. So once you feel like you can play those comfortably, confidently, go ahead and go back into your music. Also, too, it looks like we have a little bit of pedal. If you want to throw in the pedal, that's fine. And then kind of in 17, going back to our main theme here. And I think that's it. So Rage Over a Lost Penny, kind of a fun one. If you'd like to play this a little bit more on the fast side, that's also totally fine. It says Allegro, so we have a cut time Allegro. That means that this is a pretty fast kind of piece overall. So a good one to, especially during these passages. So when you're playing these, make sure to start slow, and then slowly kind of incrementally build up the tempo until you can play it comfortably. And then once you can start to play it fast, kind of challenge yourself and see kind of how fast you can play these, making sure that if you do start to play wrong notes or things aren't quite coming together, to reduce the tempo a little bit until you can get everything out of control and then kind of start to build it back up again. And that's it.